Okay, I was just saying, I reached out to you and I was like, let's do a podcast. Let's catch up. And you said, let's wait until after Girl Power. And so you did 627 and you
Yeah.
were slightly disappointed.
Yeah. First of all, I only got 6 attempts, which is disappointing to say the least. Like, I'm not proud of myself for that. Just some stupid technical mistakes and probably not the best attempt selection. And I was hoping to hit over 630, so I didn't get that. But like, it was still a really good performance, so I can be mad about it. Just not quite what I wanted. So yeah.
Your body weight though is down from worlds, but your total, it looks like your strength is up. Like, is that, do you think, like, how is this? It's working in opposite directions. How are you getting smaller but getting stronger?
So to be honest, I noticed that squat is the only lift that gets affected by my body weight fluctuations. So it's the only lift that gets weaker when I lose weight and gets stronger when I gain weight. And both bench and deadlift just pretty much stay at the same rate of progression, regardless of what my body weight is. So yeah, just got stronger at bench and deadlifts. And squat is kind of hanging around a little bit weaker, but I hope we can build it back up by the time Sheffield comes.
To be in the 630s is crazy at your body. Like, did you cut any water for girl power?
I just did a gut cut, so I was sitting at around 72.5, 73 before the meet and just did a small gut cut. Right now I'm a little bit heavier because I took a week off of training and tracking macros, so I might
Mm.
be at 75 even. But yeah, I hope I will get back down quickly.
Who was your coach again for nutrition?
Uh, Currently no one.
Well, really, you just do it yourself.
Yep,
Once you get the hang of it, it's just like decreasing calories and increase. Do you do like count steps and everything too?
yep, I do. I just set a calorie goal, stay at it for like a week or two, see what happens to my body weight, and if I'm losing enough weight, I stay at these calories. If I'm not losing weight, I cut a little bit more. If I'm losing too much weight, I go up a little bit. So
Mm.
just like, yeah, just waiting for a week or two and seeing what's happening.
So after the world championships, you win the 76 kilo world title.
Yep.
And in the classic division, this is your first classic world title. How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel like, were you satisfied? Were you unsatisfied? What was the feeling? Because you had been in an amazing battle with Jessica Bittner in 2022. 2023, your total went up, but not a heck of a lot, 590. Looking back, compared to what you're doing now, is well below what you're capable of now. So this year, big anticipation of a battle with Carlina. And after you win the title and you've been chasing it for a while, what did it feel like?
It felt overwhelming after winning Sheffield. Uh, I was just chasing this high that I felt after doing that. And honestly, the battle with Carolina wasn't that satisfying because she didn't have a great day. So it didn't feel like I had to really fight for the title. I just kind of went into deadlifts knowing that I already won. So yeah, I didn't feel as happy as I thought I would. And I also didn't really hit the numbers that I wanted. So that was another thing that made me a little bit unsatisfied. But outside of that, yeah, I was pretty happy because like, why wouldn't you be?
Right. Well, it's a world title, but your improvement's been crazy. Like your deadlift alone, you put on, I have it here. Since 2022, you put on 42 kilos, which is insane.
That's a lot. Yep.
How is that even? You put on 42 kilos onto your total since 2022. Your deadlift alone, you put on, how many did you put on your deadlift? Let me take a look here. 22 kilos on your deadlift
22.
alone. That's insane. So a huge chunk of your total came from your deadlift improvement. How is this? I remember you making a post one time saying, "I think I'm turning into a deadlift specialist." Usually, when someone's a big bencher, the deadlift is what suffers the most. And now you're turning into like the deadlift is one of the best weapons you have. And when you end off, like you might be pulling last against a lot of these people, which previously wasn't the case. How have you turned the corner on your deadlift like this?
I don't know. Just I guess the fact that we were able to get rid of my lower back pain, which was an on and off issue, and it really messed up my training at times. That probably helped a lot. Getting back to doing SBD 6 times a week seems to be working really well for me because my technique just feels much more uh, stable, like the same. And before that, I used to have really bad days with technique on deadlifts, which impacted my strength a lot. And now that I'm doing them pretty much every day, it just feels better. So I guess that's part of it. And yeah, just being able to train for months without a break, without any pain or injuries.
Did you say you're back to 6 days a week SBD?
Yeah, I started doing that again in March this year.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah, so we were talking with my coach about another lifter, and he said something that he gave him one more bench day, like increase his frequency so his technique improves because he just didn't have enough exposure to the movement. And I mentioned that my squat and deadlift technique felt the best back in 2022 when I was doing SBD 6 times a week. Then we had to like cut it down because of my back, but now I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling good. Maybe we should try doing this again. And he was like, okay, let's try this. We have a lot of time until works. If anything goes wrong, we can just fix it. We'll have enough time. So we did try it and it worked. It works really well.
how long are these SBD sessions? Because for most people when they hear 6 days a week SBD, they're thinking, "Oh my God, that's crazy." But you had said it's not all high intensity. Some of it's just getting volume in. But like, how long is like a session for you?
The shortest one can take as little as 2 hours. If I don't have time, maybe even a little bit less than that. The longest one might take up to 4 or 5 hours, depending on how much time I spend yapping in between my sets. And like just, sometimes when you finish doing heavy squats, you need a little bit of time before you can start doing bench because you're just tired and just need a little bit of time to maybe eat something and just rest a little bit. So yeah, something around that.
5 hours is crazy. That's a long time. That's like a full shift at work, or almost,
That's
anyways.
my work. Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you a full time power lifter now?
Yeah. Been since
And
2022, 2023, 2023.
and you could cover like everything just by powerlifting?
Yep,
Oh my
just
God.
from the money meets. It's like a lot of people don't know or like I don't know, forget that when I get a money prize, it's 4 or 5 times the amount in my currency. So it's really a lot for one meet. So if I do, let's say 4 or 5 meets where I can win around 5k euros, that's like 20k in my currency, and that really adds up to a lot of money plus some other stuff that I get regularly. So yeah, it's pretty comfortable.
That's great. So you're a professional powerlifter. Not even we know some powerlifters that they can make their living off of coaching and merchandise, but you're actually doing it off of prize money. Like you were a
Yeah,
full-on professional powerlifter off of prize money.
yeah, pretty much.
That's great. Here we are. Like that's like people talk about the possibility of that happening, and you're doing it right now. And
Yeah,
obviously,
and
you won Sheffield, which helps huge too.
yeah, that was the biggest one yet. But like, I'm really grateful for that because I'm really living my dream life right now. Ever since I was a kid, I was thinking about becoming a professional athlete and making a living from that. But I was always too short for every sport, so I didn't really pick up anything until I found powerlifting. And when I started doing powerlifting, there were very few, if any, money meets. So it just kind of developed over the years. And yeah, I'm really happy that I'm doing it right now and living a dream.
It's crazy. You just literally when I'm like, yeah, that 5 hours, that's like a job. You're like, well, this is my job. This
Yeah.
is what I do. I go to work. Like, does it feel when you go to the gym? Does it feel like work? Do you tell you like because this is how you're paying your bills? This is how you're, this is your income. Does it feel like work or does it feel different now that you're depending on this income?
Not really, because I just love training and I get motivated mostly by what I want to achieve and what I've achieved in the past. Uh, Sometimes when I have to go to a meet abroad a few times in a row, and I'm just so tired of traveling, that starts feeling like job, and I have to tell myself, okay, Agatha, you're doing this to make some money. Like it's probably smart to do this meet even if you're tired, but going to the gym, not really.
How many times a year do you compete?
Last year, I think I only competed 3 times. This year, um, 7 already, and I have another one coming up soon.
Wait, how many times this year?
7.
7?
Yeah.
It's only been 10 months. That's almost one a month.
Yeah, pretty much. I I had 3 in March alone because that was Sheffield, Nationals, and then Arnold.
Yeah, that's wild. In
Sheffield was in February, so
yeah,
not the
that's
same
right.
month,
Yeah.
but pretty
Still,
close anyways.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty close. I mean, that's pretty wild. Although doing 6 SPD sessions a week keeps your body probably super conditioned for this. Like it's just another,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go all out every time. You could just
Yeah.
do what you need to do to win.
Yeah. That's like probably half of the meets I do, and then the other half is what I want to prep for and go all out.
I mean, this is night and day from when we first saw you in 2022. Your potential, like you've absolutely exploded to the point where, like in 2022, you and Jessica Bittner, it was one of the best battles I'd ever seen. Came right down to the very last deadlift, and she had to pull the biggest deadlift we'd ever seen in the IPF history as a 76. And obviously, that's like 2 weight classes below the top weight, like the top weight class. So it was crazy. You guys, it was nuts. But since then, well, I mean, obviously 2023, Carlita, Tongatea, and Jess and Malta. But since you've arrived, since you've turned into what you've turned into now, I'm not there. You looking left to right, you really don't have rivals anymore to an extent. You know what I mean? Like you went to the Battle of the 69s, and their
Yeah.
all-time greats are like Leah Bavois, who's won world titles in multiple weight classes, Carola Gara, who's won world titles in multiple weight classes, and the battle turns into a hunt, and you're just eating food, it turns out. And then when we look at the showdown with Carlina, and it's supposed to be the big, like it's a return match. And previously, Carlina had won at the World Championships. And a year later, battle turns into a hunt again. And now, do you feel this like this is your prime? This is, you look to your left and right. Do you see rivals, or are you almost on your own at this point?
The next one is obviously Amanda, as I've said before. I'm just like looking for side quests, just things I can do. There's a lot of rivals at Sheffield because you're not only competing against your weight class, and same goes for the World Games. But yeah, just looking for things I can still do, for people I can beat.
So let's talk
But
about
yeah,
all this because, like, especially with Amanda, because initially the talk about going up to 84 initially to meet Amanda, this is when you were first at 600 kilos from Sheffield,
yeah,
and that was like your biggest. And Amanda's at 647. So at that point, in Amanda's like, look, that is a big jump between 600 and 647. And initially, it would be like, yeah, that's a big jump. Like for you to go be doing 600 kilos and then to think you're going to tackle Amanda, that's a huge leap. That was earlier this year. By now in October, you just did 627 on a day you're not even happy with, and your body weight was 71 point whatever kilos. Now all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, no, like you for sure, you put on 27 kilos since then. 27 kilos within a year. Now people have to think differently about you chasing Amanda. But before we get to Amanda, so now the whole conversation is different. Now people are excited. But before we get to Amanda, let's talk about the pathway. Let's talk about what your goals are for next year, year that follows, etc.
Yeah, so the current plan, and I don't think it will change because I'm like into it really this time. So I think it's gonna stay like this. So it's 69 for Sheffield 2025, and hopefully I could snatch another win, but we'll see how that goes. 69 for Worlds 2025 to get the world title in this weight class, and 69 for the World Games 2025 to have that final total bump before I will leave this weight class for good. And then I'll start bulking up. 76 for Sheffield 2026, and then 84 for Worlds 2026. That's the plan for now.
And I'm telling you right now, Agatha, that is like you if you do this, you will be the first powerlifter, period, men's or women's division, to win 3 titles in 3 weight classes. You'll be the first powerlifter to win back-to-back Sheffields if you can pull off that Sheffield win at 69 kilos again. And looking how much kilos you put on your total, like the way Sheffield is put together, because it's percentage of what you beat the world record, it makes it on purpose that it's very difficult to win 2 years in a row because you're breaking your own record. And it wasn't like you held back. You did 600 kilos as a 69. It wasn't like you phoned it in. You went all out 600 kilos. To do it back to back means you would need to improve a crazy amount in 1 year. 1 year. And they made it difficult to do back to back. So it keeps cycling over. So it's entertaining. You never know who's going to win. Any given year, anybody can win. If you pull this off and you win back to back Sheffields, that's going to be something that's incredibly difficult for anybody to match just by the way Sheffield's set up. Incredibly difficult for any. Evie Corrigan won the first one, and it is super hard for her to come back and win again because she's a victim of her own success, having to break her own world record. So if you do back to back Sheffields and you're the first and only one to do 3 world titles, and you'll be 23, like you might have the greatest powerlifting resume by 23 years old. That's
Honestly,
crazy. What do you do?
when I won Sheffield this year, I totally didn't think I could do this again. I wasn't even thinking about this because, as you've said, the way Sheffield is set up, it's really hard to predict what will happen. We didn't know who even will be there, who will go to what weight class. So I wasn't even thinking about if I can win it again or no. I wasn't planning on going down again. I wasn't planning on winning Sheffield again. But as the time passed and I started making progress and we've decided to go down to the 69s again, it might really happen. That's crazy to me. But I think part of it was that I wasn't really at my prime last year because I was coming back after a year of dealing with injuries a lot. So the prep for Sheffield wasn't really that long. And by that, I mean that up to like September, I think October, before Girl Power 2023, I was still having a lot of issues with my lower back, and that messed up my training a lot. It wasn't very consistent. And yeah, there were just weeks when I couldn't squat or deadlift at all. And we started at a very low point after Girl Power. I think the first week I did my top squat single at 165 kgs, which is really below my all-time PR. So that rep wasn't really that great. And that's why I think I'm able to break it by so much again, because now I'm healthy, now I'm able to train. And I've also been getting better at like generally being a power lifter with my routine and all of that. So all of those things come together.
And I mean, we talked about this, but because you were thinking about, just maybe going straight to 84 or whatever. But at a certain point, you won't be able to make 69 kilos. You keep putting on muscle and it just gets tougher and tougher, right? And if you go 84, the likelihood of coming back down to 69 is more and more difficult. So that's why when we were talking before on the platform, after you won the 76 kilo title, and I'm like, Agata, if you do this, if you win the 69 kilo title, you already got the 76, then you target 84. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody. It would just be you. And the thing is, you'll have done it. And if you do back to back Sheffields, my God, but you'll have done all that by 23 years old. That's, I mean, it's so young. Most people are just entering the open at 23. You'll have already like completed the game. you know, like you, what do you do if you accomplish this at 23? What do you do after that? Because you might be competitive till you're like another 15 years.
Yeah, I'll just keep looking for their turn. Just what else can I do?
Just tell everybody, hey, guess what? Within 3 weight classes, you're all going to get your asses whipped for the next 10 years.
Who knows?
I
Maybe
guess
the next one will be 84 plus.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm definitely not going below the 69s because that would be starvation for me. But the other way, why not? We'll see.
And all the 63s are safe. That's why Leah Babel's like, man, fuck this. I'm I'm going outside of Agata Sitko territory into the 63s and I'm safe. I'm safe there. Well, so when you go 84 in 2026, do you plan on filling out 84? Do you think you'll need to? Because your total might go up as your body weight goes up, but there might be diminishing gains in terms of, like maybe at 82 kilos, you might be like better because it could start negatively impacting your deadlift, maybe, or who knows, right? Sometimes it does. What do you think? I know it's still early, but what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. I will just see how much I can gain in less than a year because it might be just hard to gain weight at one point. I won't have that much time to fill out that weight class. But if I do at Sheffield this year, what I want to do, I don't think I will need to fill out this weight class to beat Amanda. So it also kind of depends on that.
Because if you were thinking 630s at girl power, I mean, I don't know what you're thinking at Sheffield because you got some time. But I mean, clearly into the 630s at least. What
Well,
do you, what do you, you know, are you, are you gonna say what you think of her Sheffield or no?
yeah, it's some people say that people make some bold claims and they can't back it up by action. But to me, I'm just making some ambitious goals. I can't predict what my progress will be over the next 3 months, but I can set up some goals for myself, try to reach them. If I don't, I will still probably hit a huge total. So total wise, I want to hit at least 640. That would
630 or
be great.
40?
635. Okay.
Okay, okay.
640.
Six.
635 would be like the very lowest. 640 would be fine. A little bit more than that would be great. For every lift, my goals are for squats, anything from like 210 to 12.5 would be amazing just to maintain my strength, maybe hit a small PR. For bench, that's the one I'm not super confident in because we only have 3 months, but 167.5 is the goal because that's the biggest bench press in the IPF by any woman ever. So that would be great. I don't know, we'll see. Based on how 161 moved in training before Girl Power, I think I had around 163 in me that day. So it might not be that I think above 160 will be great. And for deadlift, I would like to hit 269, and that comes together to a 649 kilo total, I think. But yeah, as I'm saying, I don't really expect to hit the numbers I want on every lift, so a 640 kilo total would be great for me.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, and that would be the biggest deadlift in IPF history, any weight class. Wouldn't it be? What's the biggest deadlift right now? Oh no,
Oh
wait a
no,
second,
no,
wait a
no.
second. No,
It's
because Natalie
270. It's
is
over
doing
270. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely over 270.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're right.
But it would be over the 84 kilo that would record.
Right. As a 69, which is still crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, first off, that would be freaking bonkers for you to put on 40 kilos onto your 40 kilos onto your total in a year. It's crazy. And
Yep.
we're not, like 40 kilos on a total is huge if like Russell Orhe, who's doing 860, if he puts on 40 kilos, that's crazy. And he's in the 800s. You're in the 600s, percentage wise, and you're elite. This isn't like you're a newbie. You're not new to the game. For you to put on 40 kilos in a year is absolutely unheard of. When you go into the gym right now, is it just like, do you even not even know what to expect? The gains are just coming so quickly. I mean, this is like
Honestly,
it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. There are times in training when I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like right afterwards, I had a really good squat block, and my squat just started going up. Then I started losing weight, so it went back a little bit, went back down a little bit. But then my bench and deadlift both started blowing up out of nowhere. So yeah, that's sometimes really surprising. And that's why when I was recording a podcast with the Sabbath session guys like a month or two ago, I said that I wouldn't want to hit around 625, 630 at Sheffield. Well, it's gone up since then. So
It's yesterday's price isn't today's price. It goes up, right?
yeah.
So, well, one of the big things for you, I remember talking to you after, I think it might have been the first Sheffield, and you were saying your bench press, sorry, was gone. You're like, I don't know how to get my bench press back with the new bench rule. This is when bench rule first came in. How have you gotten your bench press back? You just changed up the technique, or how did this happen?
So at first, when the rule was introduced, I thought my bench would pass as it was because, yeah, Sheffield was the first international meet for me with the new bench press rule. I tried watching all the previous comps to see how the bench rule is judged. So I thought it would pass, but turned out it wasn't enough for judges. So I just then afterwards I somehow got my first and second attempt, even though I benched with the exact same technique as at Sheffield. So that was a bit confusing, but I still got one red, I think. So I just came to the gym one day for my lighter bench session and decided to try sinking. And I started doing this, and after a while, I started doing this on my primary bench day, and it turned out it didn't really take anything from my bench. So I just started doing this regularly, got used to it, and started adding kilos to my bench.
And I mean, your bench is definitely back now. Your total's flying. When you look at Amanda Lawrence, I had Rory Lynch on the podcast, and we were talking about like girl power, Sheffield, and he pulled up a stat that kind of rattled me here. We're talking about what it would look like by the time you face Amanda Lawrence, not in 2025, but 2026, and your possible improvements by then in Amanda's progress. And he said, and I just double checked, it's true. Since 2020, 4 years, Amanda Lawrence's PR total has gone up 1 kilo.
Yeah,
1 kilo. And your
I've already
improvement
checked
since
that.
what's that?
I was checking that as well.
And your improvement, I mean, we just talked about has been insane. I mean, it's been 27 kilos just in 10 months. let alone,
Yeah,
that progress and all that time. What do you think this is going to look? What do you anticipate from Amanda Lawrence? I haven't talked to her since. I mean, I think initially she probably wasn't too worried about it because she's looking at 600 kilos.
yeah.
She sees 613 and she's like 613. I'll never hit as low as 613. That's not a threat to me. And like, sure, I mean, it wouldn't be. But now is a different conversation, isn't it? Now all of a sudden, and I need to get her feedback on this at a certain point, but she's got to be thinking, holy shit, if Agatha keeps improving like this, and Amanda, phenomenal consistency, like consistently every single year she wins, consistently every single year she's got a big total. So she's very consistent, doesn't have off days, but hasn't progressed, unfortunately, on that total. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen with Amanda by the time you show up?
I don't know. Uh, she's not really posting much of her squats or deads recently, but her bench seems to be going up, so we might see a total PR from her. I hope that having that opposition, finally having who could potentially challenge her, will motivate her to get stronger because I want to have that really tight battle, and I hope she will show up for the day and we will battle it out until the last deadlift. That would be great. I don't know what to expect from her. Sometimes people just need that sudden push to keep going, you know.
Because by the time you hit 84, I mean, you're talking 640 as a 69. By the time you're
And
84,
that's at Sheffield, so I will have 6 months more to add some kilos to that total.
like by the time you go 84, I don't know where your total is going to be, but it's going to be crazy. How big do you think if you're just like look at body weight, don't care about body weight, um, you'll eat and be as big as possible, as strong as possible. And all this could change as time flies. But what do you think is your top potential? Like, could you total 700 kilos in your career?
That would be great. I used to think that 600 would be that like huge goal that I would be striving for years, and then it just happened. So now I'm thinking 700. But if I hit 700, what next? Maybe more.
I thought you were about
But
to say maybe
we'll see.
eight.
Once we reach 700, I will start thinking about that. Right now, I'm just not trying to go there. So yeah, it's just if if you say 800, it might not seem that crazy, but when you start dividing it for each lift, it just 300 squat, 200 bench, 300 deadlift. Sound tough.
That's huge. You
Yeah.
start dividing up the lifts. You're like, holy shit. Is that Russell Ortiz lifts you're thinking of? Like that's like Taylor Atwood for God's sake. But
Yeah.
it's still crazy. Like put at this point, 700 doesn't sound crazy. If the numbers you're talking about is a 69, if you walk around at 80 kilos, 700 isn't crazy at all. It's like it's
Yeah.
crazy, but for you, it's probably not that crazy. Like you probably could be the first to hit 700 at the lightest possible body weight.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Let me ask you, who do you think at this point in time is the GOAT on the women's side? Okay, a Wi-Fi pause, but who do you think is the GOAT at this point in time on the women's side?
Hmm. That's tough. Because like it depends on what you value the most.
Mm.
Because I I wouldn't be mad if people said Amanda because she's got like 5 world titles, but then again there are women who have more world titles than her, like Kimberly Warford, for instance. So like I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if someone chose me, but if I would call myself the GOAT, probably not yet. Maybe next year when I do what I want to do. But I'm just like, still waiting before I start saying that because there are still things to do, still things
Hmm.
to prove. So yeah, I guess it just depends on what's your criteria for the GOAT, whether it's the highest coefficient scores, whether it's the most world titles, most world records. But it's a tough conversation.
Here's the thing. When it comes to world titles, before the lockdowns in 2029 and below, it was like the numbers that you would hit to become a world champion are not even close to what it is now. Like
Yeah,
you look at the totals that were being put up because the talent pool wasn't anywhere close to what it is now. And you look at like with all due respect, I mean, you were 69 kilos and you hit 600 kilo total. You take a look at what was winning the 72 kilo class, the totals, and it's not even it's not even close.
yeah.
It's not even like a smidgen close. Like Leah Babwa and Corolla Gara would have been destroying 72s. Like it's not, so when we talk about greatest of all
Depends.
times, and
Like
we sure
Jad
go
and
ahead.
Natalie could probably destroy the 2019 72s. It's like the winning total was 535, right? At Worlds 2019.
Was it? Let me take a quick look.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll I mean I know that yeah, it's and I was gonna ask you about those other I'll pull up the results here. Okay, 2019 Classic Worlds. Frick. Takes me back, Agata. I remember
Yeah.
commentating that one and being there. So
That was the year
Maria,
I started powerlifting.
really?
Yeah.
All right, holy smokes, look at this. Maria T won the 57 kilo class. Her total 472.5. Now those ladies are like 515, 519, 472. Corolla Gara won the 63s with 503. Now she's like I mean, they're her and Leo go into the late 500s. Yeah, Kimberly Walford, 535. That like the 60, and that's a 72 kilo class. That now we have 63 juniors who are in the 550s.
We have 57 juniors who are close to 530s. So
Yeah.
it's
And
crazy how
that's
much the sport has developed since then.
it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And you were a lighter body weight hitting 600 kilos at the last Sheffield. And you're going to be 69 kilos again. And God knows who you're going to hit. But it's going to be crazy. Like, obviously, at girl power, you were under 72 kilos and you hit 627. I mean, the sport has just exploded. But, like, obviously, Kimberly, Jen Thompson, they're pioneers. We needed them to get where we are now. They had to like lay the pathway, etc. For sure. But just like in all sports, we're in the Hall of Fame. They have the pioneer wing, and then they have the modern wing. It's difficult to take a look at the world titles and have the same value as trying to win now a world
Yeah.
title. That's a whole nother ball game. And saying they're both like it's parity. Your accomplishments for winning world titles isn't parity at this point when the numbers are being put up like they are right now. So it's whom I think is probably the GOAT right now. At this point, it's Amanda Lawrence for me. But if you do what you want to do and you win 3 world titles in 3 weight classes and you beat Corolla Gara, Leah Babwa, Jessica Bittner, Carlita Tungatea, all those ladies are like world record breakers, world champions. And then at the end, you beat Amanda Lawrence. What are we talking about? You'll have beaten everybody above 63 kilos up to the heavyweights. I mean, I think it would be unanimous. I think everybody, even though people get sick of saying goat, it's like, and people even use it like a term like goated. Like if you do a good performance, goated.
Yeah.
And people get sick of it. Honestly, I can't fathom somebody arguing against you being the goat. And you'll be 23. that's that's crazy. I mean, after that, I don't know. When you're already the greatest your sport has ever seen, and you're only 20, like, and I don't mean peak, I mean accomplishments. You've already accomplished more than anybody else ever had, and you're only 23. What the hell?
You
It,
never know what happens in that time. Maybe we'll have another star arise and I
it's
won't be
true.
able to do what I want to do. You
It's
never
true.
know.
You never know. Is there
But
anybody that's got you? Sorry, go ahead.
I like to, because like, I've been thinking about this a lot and like being a little bit scared that someone younger might come with better genetics than me and beat me. But then I think to myself, well, why can't it beat me? Why can't I be the one who's got the best genetics for powerlifting we've ever seen? Maybe I will be able to keep doing this and like winning and all. But yeah, we'll see. I'm just like living in the moment, I guess.
It's an interesting conversation. Look, as years go by, in most sports, people just improve. It's just what it is. Our
Yeah.
knowledge about training, our knowledge about nutrition, people improve. So, for instance, a sport like boxing's been around for centuries, right? I mean, it was in like the original Olympics. And as things go by and as time goes by and athletes improve, 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 you assume that today's athletes would beat yesteryear's athletes just because of the steady, steady, steady improvement. But when and probably 9 times out of 10, that's true. But if you have 1,000 years of one sport, at some point in time, the greatest will emerge. The one individual who's genetically, mentally, everything, they're the greatest. And despite the fact that every single year that passes, as a whole, the sport gets better in our knowledge and training, etc. When that greatest is born and competes, they don't get to pick. It's going to be on the 1,000th year, the most recent year. It just falls wherever it falls. That person is produced and born, could be year 530, could be year 900. If there's 1,000 years, it's just going to happen where it happens. And for instance, in boxing, Muhammad Ali was a heavyweight, and if you see footage of him, he could move like he was a lightweight. It doesn't make sense. If you watch footage of like his feet, his foot speed, his hand speed, it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, well, that's just it does 1,000 years can go by. You're not going to have another Muhammad Ali. It just is what it is. I don't care about sports science. And that's like regularly agreed upon. That's just not me. Most people agree upon that. So to your point, like he's the chosen one. He's the special. 1,000 years, it's him. Doesn't matter when he's born. Doesn't matter. He's not the most recent athlete. Doesn't matter. Time goes by. We just talked about the women in the weights that get shifted. And every year, more weight gets shifted. And now the champions from yesteryear, who we thought were goats, are no longer goats. But eventually, that special person's going to come around and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. 1,000 years can go by. How crazy is it, Agatha? If you go to bed at night thinking, holy shit, what if that's me? It might be. You don't know. Maybe there is that girl watching you right now and it's her. I don't know. And we won't know. Only time will tell. Maybe she's coming. Maybe she's a
Yeah.
junior right now and she's coming. Or, or it could be you. You might be the one in 1,000.
But you never know. So all we can do is just put as much effort as we can into everything and do our best and try to stay relevant for as long as possible. That's why I'm planning to compete as a 69 at the World Games to just bump up the 69 kilo world record so it
Mm.
stays for as long as possible. Yeah, we'll see.
I
But
mean, you do.
yeah,
That's
go
why I
on.
thought you. That's why I thought you doing those three weight classes was the proper way to go. Because how is someone going to do that again? And you're going to when you're like 30, you'll be competing. Are you going to want to cut again? Maybe, but you might like do this now while it's easier now and just do as much that when people look back they're like, how the fuck did someone win three weight classes, two Sheffields, maybe three Sheffields, I don't know, by the time this rolls around, world games, like you got an opportunity here. Nobody's doing what you're doing three different weight classes like this. It's very difficult to even see that, but only time will tell. It's interesting to watch though.
I'm really happy to just live this life and be able to do this because, like, I don't know, powerlifting is such a great sport for me. I just love it. I love lifting weights, and to be able to be this good at it, it just feels so rewarding and motivates me so much to work even harder, to be even stricter with my routine and all of that. So yeah, I'm just really happy that I can do this.
And you like this is like your job. Do you do
Yeah.
coaching? Do you coach
No,
people?
no.
Do you think about it at some point that you will coach people?
Probably when I stop making money from competing, that will be the easiest transition, I guess, to still work in the sport. So yeah, probably in the future. But right now, I don't feel like I have enough knowledge and I don't feel like I want to learn right now. So I'm not really thinking about it in the nearest future, but we'll see what comes.
Like how much of your own training do you do your own program,
No, nothing more.
and how much input do you put into your own program right now?
Like mostly my coach, I just give him a feedback. We sometimes talk about what we think could work, what we would like to change. We usually agree on everything, so there's not a lot of back and forth. We just kind of have the same ideas, so
Hmm.
that's great. So it's mostly him. Yeah, but I'm happy that I self-coached for a few years because I don't think I would have started doing SBD 6 times a week if I started working with a coach earlier. And what coach would give their athlete six SBDs per week without knowing that it previously worked, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's crazy. That's true.
so yeah, I sometimes think about what could have been if I started working with a coach earlier. But then I think to myself that I probably would have never started doing SBD 6 times a week, and I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. So,
I am well, first off, like 100%. I've talked to some people in the gym and like just normal. This is like a normal gym that I'm going to, and these are normal people, Gen Pop, right? The general population. And when they see like numbers that powerlifters are putting up, they're like, oh my God, they have to be on steroids. They have to be on PEDs. They have to. And I'm like, no, they just train way hard. And they're like, yeah, but what do you mean? Like, we all squat, we all bench press. What could possibly be the difference? And I tell them, oh, buddy, you have no flipping idea. Like, if people some I was talking to a kid at the gym and he was asking me how to improve his squat. And I was like, how many days a week do you squat? And he said, like, sometimes I'll do two a week. And he was saying it like that. He was saying it like, I'll come back that week and do it again. And he thought that was like, I would be like, oh shit, you're a go-getter. And I'm like, my man, on a bad week, you should be doing at least three. That's a bad week. Like they just have no idea. I'm like, you have no idea. You think you're working hard, you're dragging your feet. You're wasting time. You are wasting time. You are not achieving. If this is what you want to do, you're not even scratching the surface of what you need to do to get where you want what you're talking about you want to do. And I don't think people realize like you're doing 6 days a week SPD sessions, some of them 5 hours. Even if you're talking to get like in between and whatever, you're still there 5 hours grinding and working. I don't think people understand. And for you, is it, does it ever get like, because some people your age start experiencing what they call burnout, mentally fatiguing, whether it's from the pressure and always be under pressure or just doing the same thing over and over or whatever it is. Do you ever experience this or is it kind of, or do you approach it differently?
So obviously there are days when I'm a bit more tired, a bit more sore, or like I'm just kind of bored with training because when you go to the gym and do the same shit every day, weeks weeks or months at a time, it does get a little bit boring, but I it's just such a routine for me that I just go to the gym. If I have a great day, I do a little bit better, maybe just hype myself up a little bit more, hit a little bit more weight. On worse days, I just go through the motions, just do what's necessary, try to motivate myself maybe a little bit to push myself at least for accessories. But I never have days when I don't want to go to the gym because I just wake up, eat breakfast, pack my bag, and go to the gym. I don't have anything else to do. And I don't really often feel like I need to take a break from the gym. It's usually more that I don't want to take a break from lifting, but I would like to go on a trip to the mountains or something. So because I go on the trip, I take break from the gym, but I don't feel like I need breaks from the gym, and I usually go to do a really light session the day after I compete, if that's possible, just to go through the motions, get some blood and all of that. So yeah, I have not yet experienced the burnout. I hope it doesn't happen. If it does, I might take a little bit longer off the gym to get that mindset back. But right now, it's just a routine for me. I love working out. I love lifting weights, and that's it.
I remember you were on the podcast one time. This was a couple of years ago. And I remember asking you about this, and you said, I just approach it like it's my job. Like I just do it. I just go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. Or most people in their life, they get up to go to work. Doesn't matter. I don't feel like going to work today. Well, nobody, no shit. Like you, you don't always feel like going to work, but you go to
Yeah,
work. You just do it. You just do it. You get it done. You got something you got to do, you get it done. And you were like, I approach it like it's work. You just get it done. It doesn't matter. What's my feelings on this? What does it matter what your feelings are? You know, you get the job done. I remember hearing a podcast by Luke Thomas, and he was talking about it, saying once you understand the cheat code to life, the cheat code is really consistency. It's just doing something and it doesn't matter how you feel about it. Everybody wants to think about like their feelings. And fine, sure, you should check in on yourself. Gotcha. But if you really want to get something done, you keep working and it doesn't matter. Are you tired? Are you sad? Are you get it done? It doesn't matter. Get it, just keep showing up over and over and over again. And as time goes by, you look back and that's how progress is made. It's the only way progress is made. If you only work on this craft, whatever it is, when you feel so inclined, or if you don't feel like doing it, so you don't, that's going to be the separation between those that really make massive progress and those that make progress, but not the full potential. It doesn't matter how you feel, get it done.
yeah. And another thing that I want to add is that, to be honest, even when I have days when I might feel like I don't want to go to the gym, I would never allow myself to do this because I just start thinking about how it's going to impact my next performance and how disappointing that would be and what people expect from me and what I expect from myself. And I'm just scared of losing. So that also like just makes it impossible for me to not go to the gym because I just don't want to experience that. And another thing is it's not only being consistent with training, it's also being consistent with diet, sleep, steps, all of that.
Mm.
And I don't need any special motivation to be consistent with my training, but I'm really happy that I have a boyfriend who's got the same goals and priorities as me. So we kind of push each other to maintain our diets, get our steps done, go to sleep at the same time every day, and get those 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And that probably helps a lot with the progress because we just keep each other accountable and keep pushing ourselves to be better at what we're doing.
See, you know what? Funny you say that. I had on Natalie Richards on the podcast, and we were talking about exactly this. So Russell or he made a post, and it was like he said something to the effect of, I don't know why people need to date somebody who also goes to the gym. That's my thing.
Yeah,
I don't need it to be the girls' thing. And he said, like, I mean, he's provoking some feedback. So he's like, I think it's weird when people do that or whatever. And then Leah Bavel was like, what? No, this is how you inspire each other. You keep each other accountable. Whatever. And I was talking to Natalie. So initially, Natalie was like, yeah, I wouldn't date a power lifter. And I'm like, not only is it someone who enjoys the same lifestyle, another power lifter, like you, like I know what you mean. I count my calories, I count my steps, and I do weightlifting. If somebody else isn't on that lifestyle, we're not on the same page. Like I need to go get my steps in. I need to get my
yeah,
steps in. If that's weird for you, even like I got friends or whatever, when I count my calories, they think it's weird. Like you're counting your calories. It's like if you think that if that's weird to you, that's weird to me. Like I live a life of discipline and consistency. I gotta hit the weights. And if somebody's on the same page as that, it just makes it easier. In the, like you go on a walk together, you go to the gym together. You don't have to. I can, and then some people are saying, like Natalie was saying, like it might be too much powerlifting. Well, that's fine. I don't have to go on my walk with her or lift weights with her. I can go by myself, but the fact that it's an option makes it better. And for me, it is actually attractive if she's also like that because I put a great amount of value into that consistency, into that discipline. That's attractive to me. And particularly, so Russ's point was, yeah, but she could have that um, I mean, you can have consistency with whatever you like playing the guitar. So you do it 5 days a week. Great. Sure. I respect that passion, but particularly it is more attractive to me if it's in the gym. I don't know. I don't know why. My whole life I've been into the gym. Even when I was a little kid, I was lifting weights. And I was telling Natalie, if two girls look the exact same, but I know girl A goes to the gym and gets after it, she will physically be more attractive to me. Not personality wise, just, but even physically for some reason. I don't know what it is, but you can, I don't know. What do you think? Am I crazy or what?
no, I totally get it. I can't imagine dating a powerlifter, a non-power lifter, because like it's such a big part of my life that it would be hard to separate that from my relationship, because that's the only thing I talk about. That's the only thing I do. I literally spend 5 hours at the gym pretty much every day. Then I have to go for a walk. Then I have to do some cooking. Then I have to get enough sleep. We don't go out very often. We don't socialize very often because like we both just don't care about those things. We both just care about lifting weights and doing everything around it. So yeah, I was thinking about it a lot over the past few years, and right now I don't think I could date someone who's not a powerlifter because it just wouldn't be great. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't have anything to talk about to them.
It's, I don't like, I mean, I could talk about other things besides powerlifting, but I know what you mean. Here's another thing being strong is never a bad thing. I think being strong is actually attractive as well for me.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about strength, like even physical strength means something to me. And if someone's like physically weak, I try not to hold it against them. I'm not like going through life telling my, but if someone's physically weak, it is, I don't know, it'll impact you. You're looking at him like,
Yeah, like I mean, on one hand, I wouldn't mind being stronger than my boyfriend because that's always something you can brag about and be proud of. But on the other
you,
hand,
you, you'd let him know. You're like, yeah, I'm stronger than you, all right? So you're going to be doing a little bit more cleaning around the house. You're going to be, I'm going to alpha you right now. It's something you
yeah,
can
but
brag about.
ever since I started lifting, I totally don't find uh, like the physiques of non-lifters attractive. When someone doesn't have muscle but is lean and all, it just still kind of looks disgusting to me, to be honest. So that's another thing. Muscles are everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, we go to the gym all the time. So for sure, that's going to be what we're attracted to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. That's what, and you know what? I think I started turning Natalie. I think she's like, all right, you make a lot of good points. I was making some good points when I was throwing it out there with her. I'm like, Natalie, you might think you might get burnt out from dating a power lifter, but wait until you date someone who's not a power lifter. And if they're not on page with all that, certain things will probably start annoying you. Like it's Saturday, they wake up and they're just doing things around the house, and you're like, have you not gone to the gym yet? What are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? How much of the day is going by? What are you just not? Are you not going to go at all? But but anyways, yeah. Does your boyfriend ever get involved in terms of programming or anything like that, or like does he get involved in terms of training?
He One thing that he always does is help with attempt selection because he sees most of my training and he's just really good at like guessing what my top end is on the day. So that's one. He's also now he will start coaching soon, I think in like November.
Mm.
So he's learning programming and all of that. Yeah, we'll see. But we also talk a lot about programming and training. So sometimes we just um, exchange ideas and the things that we think.
See, if he's handling you and it's like Sheffield, there's a lot of money on the line. That's where you got to be careful because you're almost like, in that respect, you're almost business partners. If he's handling you, normally, if he's handling you and it's like girl power, right, nothing too crazy. But if it's Sheffield, your attempt selection is almost a business decision because there's so much money on the line. You are making business decisions every single attempt. That's
So
like how serious it is.
the way we choose attempts is that we have a group chat with me, my coach's wife, who's also a coach, and my boyfriend. And
Mm.
after every attempt, we just all kind of say what we think we should put for my next attempt and just have a little conversation and usually choose the middle. Or if we all agree on one weight, we put that in. And that system works really great because, my coach sees me from the closest because he's usually the one handling me. But my boyfriend usually sees all my training. So he might be a little bit better at guessing where we should end up. So just like kind of taking the middle, I think is the smartest way to go about it.
He's going to be able to read you as well. Like your boyfriend's going to know Agata's, like she's cooking right now, she's on, or he'll be able to read like, oh, what's going on here, just on your body language or whatever. Not even what you say. He'll probably be able to read you the best out of everyone, anyways. And
Yeah,
it's good input. When you go in there, though, I'm assuming you have like plan A, plan B, plan C kind of mapped out. And then during the 60 seconds, you kind of decide which one to go for, A, B, C, D, or whatever, right?
I don't actually write that down. Like I have some numbers in my head, but I don't write that down. I don't want this to affect my decision. I want to go by what I feel will be there and will be the best choice, not by what I've planned beforehand.
Really? So you don't have like ABC for
No.
squat one? Whoa. You're like, you freestyle it. You're like the Little Wayne of powerlifting. You don't
Yep.
write nothing down. Nothing's written.
Yep.
That sounds crazy to me. That's
Hey.
I don't so most obviously it works first off, so keep doing what you're doing. But I think most powerlifters that I've talked to, like for instance, Taylor Atwood in the strength guys, in like Matt Gary when he handles people, they go into a competition. Not only do they scout all of their opponents, like they scout the hell out of them, but they have written down if you're feeling like for every single attempt, um, what you if you're having a great day, what's the number? If you're having a middle of the pack day, what's the number? And if you're having a bad day, what's the number? So they have it all for every single attempt. And then they'll still talk after every attempt and be like, how you feeling? How did that move? So they have a barometer in there and they have kind of a somewhat of a game plan so that there's no conversation like you can't go too far off track. Like you as a lifter know no matter what, I won't be too far off track because I've already told them kind of the range. But you going in there, you haven't told your handlers any of this, huh?
I mean, we usually talk about some potential attempts before the meet. So as I've said, we have some general idea of what's the uh, range
Mm.
of weight, but I just don't feel the need to write it down, especially since when you do world records on two out of the three lifts, you can literally go up by half a kilo. So writing that down for every half a kilo would be too much, just too much work.
To work. I guess so. I think you probably could, but it is what it is. I mean, whatever makes you, there's probably some liberty with not writing it down too. Like less, when you write it down, maybe you probably feel it's almost like a contract to yourself once you write it down. If
Yeah.
you go in there without it written down, you're kind of, you could keep it loose mentally, anyways. It's less stress. Like, look, whatever I feel, I feel. There's nothing written in stone, so to speak. So there might be something to that as well. But I mean, look, it's obviously working. You're doing you're doing well. If you thing is knowing you, if you wrote it down, you'll end up with fucking 700 kilo total somehow. you you'll some you'll have
I
like
I don't think so.
250 kilo squat, and it's like Agata, what do you? Well, on a good day, my A squat is 250. Okay, B is 240, and it'll be crazy. So maybe it's better just to walk in there and be like, let's test out how warm ups go. What do you think?
Yeah. I, I don't know.
You know,
I just lift weights. I don't
if
like to
you
think too much.
if if you wrote it down, your boyfriend be like, "I'm sorry, are these Russell Orh's numbers or are these Ekatishiko's numbers? What is going on here?" But talking about Sheffield, actually, what battles are you most excited to see?
As a lifter, I don't really get to watch much of Sheffield, so I don't really get hyped up for any of the battles. Because,
Really?
like, at one hand, you don't really see that much because you're much more focused on your own
Yeah,
competition
that's
and
fair.
your lifts. But at the same time, when it's done, you already know the rankings, you know the
Yeah,
totals, you've seen
yeah,
some of it, so it's not interesting to watch it all again from the beginning to end. But also, you weren't really able to watch the battles, so
yeah.
it's just kind of
Like in the world of television nowadays, like there's no such thing as live TV. Back in the day, you Tuesday at 9 o'clock, you got to watch a television show when it comes on. Now you get like the whole season drop. There's no such thing as live. But the one thing that's live is sports because it's not the same watching a game knowing who won. Like you could be a huge sports man. I love MMA, but if I know who won the fight, I don't think I've like very rarely have I gone back and watched when I already know what happened. It's not the same. It doesn't hit the same. So I know
yeah.
what you mean. And then when you're in there, yeah, you can't fully appreciate what's going on. It kind of sucks because Sheffield's such a big event. Now you don't. I mean, well, you get to compete in it and win it, so that's it's a good trade off. But yeah, for me, I mean the 63s now with Alba Bostrom in there is freaking phenomenal with Leah, Alba, and Megan going head to head there. What do you think's going to happen there?
It's a little bit hard to say. I feel like the easiest choice would be to say Leah because she's done the most out of the three of them. Not that high of a body weight, but she was like 66.8, I think, at Sheffield, right? So she doesn't have that much to drop. But at the same time, looking at her training, she hasn't really been putting the numbers that she did before Sheffield. Like 205 squat and 200 kilo deadlift for reps, it's good, but it's not quite her old numbers. So depends on how much she's able to add to that before Sheffield. Alba's been making some great progress recently, but I think at worst her attempt selection wasn't the best. In my opinion, she went too light on squats and bench, trying to just hit attempts. And because of that, she had to put up too big of a deadlift for her third to try to pull for the podium.
Mm.
And she was able to hit a much bigger total when she didn't have direct competition. So her attempt selection was a little bit different. So it really depends on what they do at Sheffield with her attempt selection. And Megan, she's also been making great progress, but her bench is a bit inconsistent because she lifts her butt a lot. So it's really hard to say because that's like her biggest weapon, but it could really go either way. So yeah, I don't know who I would choose, but I guess, yeah, probably Leah still.
It's a good breakdown that you just gave. And you're right. Alba actually talked about it when she came on the podcast, how previously, like she's an athlete who's been to world championships for a long time in juniors and whatnot, but wasn't always comfortable being opposed by heavy competition. Junior worlds just dominated and did an amazing performance. But now we're back into the open. And you have people like Megan's back. And although she out totaled Megan, they went head to head at Worlds and Megan won. So it is different when your opposition's there. And add to that Leah Bavois, total superstar, multiple time world champion, two different weight classes, is back. So it's going to be a whole nother ballgame when she's there. However, like you can level up, you can improve and get better. Even mentally wise, you get tougher. Like that's what experience gives you and confidence gives you. So we'll see. It is interesting though how those three ladies break down and when they meet each other. Who do you think is probably your biggest threat at Sheffield?
Probably the one who wins the 63s if they go that heavy. Like if Ria's able to repeat her numbers from last year, I mean from this year, she could be the biggest threat. Another one that I'm thinking about is Tonita because she's always a wild card to me. Like she
Mm,
posts her training and all, but I never really expect what I see on the day. She's always doing much more than I expected. But if I hit the numbers I want, she would need over 770. So that's a lot.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's gonna be tough, especially since I think something's wrong with her uh, shoulder. I'm not sure, but I think there's been some issues with her bench recently. But she always gets injured and then puts up the biggest total ever. So
It's,
yeah,
it's true. She finds a way.
that's just
What,
crazy.
what what she did at Worlds was nuts. I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
That was crazy.
That's why
I
I'm
mean,
saying that I don't know what to expect from her because what she did at Worlds was crazy. It was only 3 months after Sheffield, and from Worlds to Sheffield, she has like what 6 months. So
yeah.
she might be able to total well into the 750s. So we'll see about her. Other than that, I don't really know. If I have a bad day, then maybe Evie could be afraid as well if she hits 500. And honestly, it's Sheffield, so you never really know what's gonna happen.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what I'm thinking as of today.
And the thing with Sonita, some people might say like at Worlds she shouldn't have got like hit as high a total and save a little for Sheffield. But to be honest, when you were like we were just saying with Sunita how she has injuries here and there and dealing with things here and there, you never know. If on that day, it's the world championships, the entire world in our community of powerlifting's watching, if you feel it, that might be the only day you'll ever be able to have a total like that. You don't know. Injuries come and go, people come and go, things happen. On that day, if you're like, I think I might be the strongest human being ever today, ever. Like her total is ever. Do it because that day may never come again.
Yeah.
That might be the day. And you might be like, I'll save it for Sheffield. When Sheffield rolls around, you might do well, but some, whatever, like, some of a back injury or something. So you still win any clash head to head, but it's not that total. And when all is said and done and you look back, you'll be like, fuck, that was the day. That was the day. I should have let the hammer fly. I should have just dropped the hammer, showed the world, and it comes and goes. That's the one thing when it comes to athletes. You don't always get to pick and choose. Like you're young, so you probably are going to have quite a few opportunities, but not everybody does. For some
You
people, it's like,
never
hey, it's
know.
the day.
Could like get hit by a car tomorrow and not be able to move anymore. You never know what's gonna happen. That's life. So just gotta do the best we can do on the day. And yeah, I agree with
That's
you.
what, yeah. And that's why world championships now. I mean, even with Perk, and he had Shell going head to head with him, and they took their third deadlift. And that was obviously the 74s. And some people were questioning, like, should Matt Gary and Team USA have loaded up the last deadlift for Perk? And should they have done that? And Matt Gary's like, listen to me. Shell Backlund is the greatest deadlifter in the 74 kilo class history. We're not getting caught sleeping and having this guy outpull us. And to win, oh, hold on, I was like, did we just pause? Oh, darn it. Okay, I thought your Wi-Fi paused and you were just sitting very still.
I mean,
Like,
I like you were moving all the time, so I don't think there's any issues with the internet.
you're like, no, sorry, I just forgot to blink for like 2 minutes. I was much of a blinker. I told you your Wi-Fi paused. You go, you are just sitting very still. I'm just conserving my energy. That's how it's okay. All right, that's cute. All right, so let me get back to my story then. Um, so anyways, Matt Gary and them were like, look it, we don't know, like if you try to win but not win by too much, that's dangerous. That's super dangerous. I don't know exactly what was going on with Russ in the 83s, but there was talk of that, him going in. Like 860, he did at Nationals. My God, you probably don't need 860 to win. Obviously, less than 860 did win it, but you don't have the opportunity. You got guys like Jerns there. You can't take that for granted with a guy like Jerns there. You know, you in 83's period now, like nobody can. So this talk of like winning by not too much, etc., I'll never fault somebody by being like, you know what? I'm going to let the hammer fly while I can and not taking anything for granted. Who knows what's going to happen, man? Somebody has an absolutely bonkers, amazing day and I freaking lose the world title. That's crazy. Sometimes you can't risk it. And also, so I want the shell dropping down for Sheffield. When you seen that, what was your impression? What was your thoughts? Because previously the 66s, the world record, I mean, as it stands now, is 710.5. We've seen some 66s do bigger in the gym. Daniel Clements in USAPL's done, 745 range or whatever. But for Shell, he's like 800 plus. Him cutting down, what are your thoughts about that? How do you think that's going to go? Because he's trying to do what you did earlier this year.
That's exciting. I think he is capable of hitting 800 at 66, looking at his strength and his body weight right now. And that would be great because, like, as some other people have already said, the 66s seem to be a little bit behind with the world record. It's over 100 kilos lower than the 74 kilo world record.
Mhm.
So I think it will be great for this weight class for someone to come and hit this much. Yeah, just exciting. I can't wait to see what he can total.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I want to see what he's going to end up doing. It's funny that this keeps happening at Sheffield. People,
That's yeah, that's just like it's really great that Evie started all of this because I, for instance, don't think I would have ever thought of dropping down if I didn't see Evie do this. Because before Evie did it, everyone was just like saying that you lose a lot of strength when you cut down and all of that. And yeah, I probably wouldn't even think about it. And if I did, I would think that I don't want to risk it. I don't want to lose too much strength. But since Evie did it, and she was already lean as a 57, she's super jacked right now. So she probably did lose some muscle mass, but she was able to maintain most of her strength and just win Sheffield. And that's really great because we're now starting to see the potential of each weight class because people are dropping down. And yeah, I think that some people could use going down a weight class if they're a little bit higher in body fat because you don't need body fat to lift weights. It doesn't help at all.
are you
Might
talking about
change
Gavin
lever
Eden
just
right
a
now?
little bit.
Are you talking
No,
about Gavin Eden?
no one particular. No one particular.
I'm
Don't
joking.
put words into my mouth.
Are you calling out my boy Gavin Eden right now? Is that what that body fat comment was? Well, well, being able to drop that. But,
Because like with me, for instance, I'm pretty short per 76 kilos, and I definitely have more than enough body fat. So when I drop weight, I don't have to lose a lot of muscles, I think. So like, yeah, it's just exciting to see what each weight class is truly capable of. And that's another thing I love Sheffield for because it just brought those opportunities.
how tall are you? I forget.
5'2", 158
Okay,
centimeters.
that's actually not too, for a
Same
power
like
lifter.
same as Natalie, right? I think she said
That's right.
something like that.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
should go
that's
up.
right. Eventually, it's difficult for some people because they don't necessarily. It's funny how it works. You could lift weights the same amount of frequency, but they're not going to put on the same muscle mass. Some people
Yeah.
just genetically put on, like talking about Gavin. Gavin is like, I mean, you see, he's jacked as shit. Like, I can't
Yeah.
believe how thick and muscular Gavin is. And when you ask Gavin how many calories he eats like he was on the podcast. I think it was like 2,300 calories, and he's so. I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. My cutting calories are 2,800.
I like the expression on your face. Was like, what? That's what I was saying. And Gavin, in it, it's funny how it works because with 2,300 calories, like if you look at Gavin, the amount of muscle mass on that man, like he's the size of a freaking, like he's crazy jacked. And his body will consume far less calories and produce that kind of muscle mass on that calorie intake. It doesn't, I don't even know. It's so freaking weird how people change from person to person, how it all works. And you could have somebody else who consumes far more calories, even if they're in the gym the exact same amount, they will never throw on that kind of muscle mass. It just doesn't work as hard as you want, eat as much as you want. Your body will not create that kind of muscle mass. It is what it is. It's very difficult. And that's why, like when we're talking about Natalie Richards, she might be able to move up, but she just has more of a slender build. Like compared to like she's still jacked, obviously, but compared to like powerlifters, it's for some people, they're just like the same body weight for like ever. You know, like once they become adults, some people just don't shift from that body weight very often. That's why what you're doing is pretty special, is to be able to cut up and down and move around. Now, your last weight class you're going to compete in, the reason why that'll be even more special is it'll be a bit of a David versus Goliath moment if you don't fill out the weight class. And that's like a Bob Matthews situation where you're like, don't get clapped by a 76. You know, if you, that's like,
Or by a 69.
we'll see. Yeah, don't get clapped by a 69. You could say that when you go against Amanda. Don't get clapped by a 69. But it's that'll be an interesting. Everyone loves to see those David versus Goliath matchups. And if you end up like 80 kilos or something when you face off with Amanda, frick man, when that showdown finally happens, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
can't wait.
freaking exciting. And you're right too. When you're like, look, I got the best laid plans. I got crazy plans laid out, but who knows what happens on my way to those plans? Who are some 76s, 69s, 84s that you got an eye on that you're thinking she could be a threat? Because for me, um, Cranen Warford from the US, her doing 585 in previously, she was in the gym, but she wasn't full on in powerlifting. And even when she came into the worlds, Joey was telling me because she's such an influencer. She's like flying all over the world doing Gymshark stuff. Um, like she's into the gym, but not a super powerlifting fan. When I seen her at US Nationals, I was talking to her and she was talking to me about some of the 76s, and she didn't even like know who everybody was yet. Like she probably knew who you were, but not all of them. There was like a lot of lifters where she's like, "Isn't there a girl from?" And I'm like she like was trying to think, and I'm like, most people in powerlifting are so into powerlifting, they'll know everybody in their weight class. Like they're not showing up and there's someone in the top five they don't know. Like they know who everybody is, they know their numbers, or she's like half in that respect. She likes powerlifting, but she wasn't fully invested. And Joey was saying at Nats, he was like, I was telling her, you have to drop the hammer and go all in on your training if you're going to make the world games. They wanted to make it onto the podium. And then obviously, if you make it on the podium, you go to the world games. And Joey was telling her, and I was telling her, you need to work like, I don't got to tell you, Agatha, because you work like crazy, but you need to work like crazy to make the podium because she's got to beat people like Jessica Bittner just to get onto the podium. There's Agatha, Carlita Tongate, there's like monsters. You need to really, really work. And leading into worlds, I think for the first time fully in her career, she really got down to it and really started working. And she's having these people pull her aside and say, "Hey, my friend, you need to level it up for worlds." So when she showed up at Worlds, I think she hit 585 or something like that, or 580, something in that range.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, the potential you're showing now, you should be in the 600s next year. You should be in the 600s later this year. So for me, anyways, she's a person. Cranen has the potential. If someone could take Cranen and make her train like you train, she's got potential to do something.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is there other people? What do you think of Cranen? What do you think of any of these other ladies? Is there somebody that you see where you're like, you know what, I got my eye on this person, and I think they might be a possible threat in the future, or just progress, even if not a threat for you?
So from the 76s, Cranon, as you've already mentioned, she's been making some great progress. But when her trainings right now sometimes pop up on my page, she seems to be lifting the same weights. I don't know if she just doesn't post heavier trainings or she's just like doing the same. But we'll see how it goes at her next comp. I'm excited to see what she can do. Another one is Sami, I think from Brazil,
Pass
right?
from Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah,
She did 580 as well. Her progress has been
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So that's another one. And one more I'm really excited about to see in the future years is one girl from Poland. She competed at the Sub Junior Worlds this year, Zuzanna Mazur. She's into 500s right now, but she's making some great progress as well. She just squatted 190 yesterday at Nationals. So I'm really excited to see what she can do because, like, if we could have another star from Poland, that would be really great. That's, I hope for that.
Yeah.
So, and she's similar to Cranon in the way that her technique is not really that great. Like, she doesn't have a very refined technique yet, and it looks pretty unstable and all of that. So if she can improve that, that's already 3 gains just by improving her technique. So that's gonna be exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I
It's true. It's true
Yeah,
technical. If you work on your technique, I love the term free gains. Like it's right there for you.
yeah,
You don't have to work in terms of like grinding in the gym. It's free gains, man. Tighten up on some of this technical work. And yet, I think Creighton definitely has some technical work she could keep tightening up as well. That's why I like sky's high. And Sammy from Jamaica. And we don't have a lot of shooters from Jamaica. It's good to see a nation like Jamaica, like other nations, start having some stars and start getting in there. So
yeah.
I'm glad for that too. You want to take a quick washroom break, 2 minutes, and come back?
No, I don't need it.
Okay, well,
If
I
you
do.
want to, you can go. Okay, see you.
Oh, you're like, no, let's keep going. I'd like you to hold it. All right. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Welcome back.
Okay. I was going to ask you as well, looking at the Sheffield situation, you've been to Sheffield's before. In terms of a head to head, and you've been involved in head to heads, but you've also won it in the overall. When I look at the 63s or I look at the 83s, and we have sensational battles between like guys who have won world championships, girls who won world championships, world record holders, etc. What do you personally prioritize? I guess it might change, but if you were in the 63s or the 83s and it's these head to head battles, do you want to win your battle? And that's number one, or are you overlooking this and you're like, no, I care about the overall ranking. But let's obviously because you won and you won all of Sheffield, your reaction would be like, let's try to win it all. But let's say you're not in contention to win it all. The big money bag to be the queen of powerlifting or the king of powerlifting on the men's side. Let's say that's not on the table. Let's say it's, going from sixth to fourth or something like that, where you're somewhere in the middle of the rankings. Would you prioritize winning the battle or overall rankings? Like Russell Orhe, he lost to Germans. He's got the battle of the 83s all on the table in front of him. If you were Russ and it's your last deadlift, are you using that last deadlift for a little bit less of a deadlift and win that battle first? Or are you increasing 5 kilos, risking to move up a ranking or two overall and potentially losing the battle of the 83s?
It depends, obviously. Uh, I would probably just choose on the day because, like, it really depends whether you're going from like seventh to fifth or when you're trying to go from fifth to third.
Mm,
Because I think that getting on the podium at Sheffield, it's much better than winning a head-to-head battle. Like, you can have those battles at Worlds. That's the place where you should prioritize head-to-head battles. But at Sheffield, for me, the ranking itself is more important. But yeah, it depends on what place you're trying to move up from
mm.
and what's your goal. Because like at Sheffield, especially on the men's side this year, it's been so close that one deadlift could take him from 12th to first. Then obviously you should choose the bigger deadlift.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really depends on the situation. But to me personally, I think going up in the rankings would be more important at Sheffield.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess it depends, right? Depends on what the backstory is. The thing with like Russ in particular, because he was the king of the 83s, like the number one guy for so long, that reasserting himself as the king would be huge. But getting on that freaking podium's massive too.
He can do that at Worlds, right? He
Yeah.
will have more meets where he can reassert himself as the best 83. And you only get to step on the podium at Sheffield once a year, maybe once
If
in your lifetime.
you're right. Hmm. And he's got world games. Like
Yeah,
he's not guaranteed to go to worlds because Joe Borenstein is from the US.
yeah, right.
Taylor Atwood's competing right now as we speak.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to be too much longer. We can both hop in the stream. But that's cool. How cool is that? The Taylor's back.
That's honestly, we'll see what he told us because like he had that one meet in 2021 and he hasn't really been able to do that again ever since.
Mhm.
So we'll see what he can total. His training looked good, so I think he can do something. He might be competitive as an 83, which would be exciting, but yeah, depends on what he can do.
It's an,
I I've never really lived in that Taylor Atwood era. Like I wasn't interested in international powerlifting prior to like I would say 2022 probably. I didn't know really that much, so I haven't been a fan of Taylor Atwood when he was in his prime because I
mm,
kind of jumped
you
on
missed.
the yeah yeah. So we'll see.
It was. It's too bad because, well, first off, I remember you in 2021 Worlds, by the way, when you were junior. I remember you, and yeah, it's too bad you weren't into it because it was such a cool era. Because Taylor is very rare, but he had every single formula. There's good lift points, dots, and Wilks, and he had all three. Some people have one, some people have two. Perk has two. Taylor had all three formulas. He was number one, and he was a world champion, and he was best lifter at Worlds, and he had the world record in the tested and the untested. He never competed untested, but his world record was bigger than the untested. He literally had everything. Like he was
Yeah.
undisputed number one. These days, people are like, well, is it this guy? Is it that guy? Is it this girl, that girl? Taylor was like, there was no question. It is what it is. All roads led to Taylor if you're having that discussion. So it was like a special, and Taylor let you know it. Like he walked around like he was the king, but he was, you know, he carried himself like that, and it is what it is. In Poland, like, is that how do you guys view that culturally? The type of athlete that kind of is the best and lets you know they're the best. Is it accepted now with the younger generation?
Probably a little bit more, but I feel like still being more humble is better viewed by people because like you can say that you're the best but you never know what will happen tomorrow,
Mm.
and when someone else comes and beats you suddenly you kind of look stupid. So
Thing is, you
yeah,
know what?
I feel like you need that balance between being proud of your achievements and talking about them but also not being too cocky because it just gets annoying at one point, at least to me. I know that it's a little bit different in America, and it just seems to be a cultural difference. But honestly, some of the US athletes are a bit too much for me personally sometimes.
Wait, are we talking about Gavin again?
Got it right this time.
But remember when we had that showdown at Junior Worlds? Me, you, and Gavin, and we had like the showdown and everything.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we've had some fun. But honestly, so again, I'm a big fan of the UFC, and there's more and more Europeans who are being more like confident and bold. Like obviously Conor McGregor is like crazy over the top, confident, bold. But there's a newer guy, featherweight champion. I don't know if you follow MMA at all. Ilya, uh,
I don't.
Ilya from Spain, and Ilya before he won the title, he changed his bio on Instagram to say UFC featherweight champion of the world. And he didn't, the fight hadn't happened yet. He was challenging and he already changed his bio and he's like, whatever, I'm going to win. And before the fight even, and to your point about, you look stupid if you lose, there's something about the boldness of being so confident you're going to win. So he just fought, Ilya just fought Max Holloway on the weekend. And Max Holloway is famous for, in some of his fights, he'll point to the ground and in the middle of the octagon, and you have to come and meet him in the cage in the middle, and you just swap punches, and just you're gonna decide who wins and loses right there. In Max's previous fight, it was a fight that he was winning, and in the very last 10 seconds of the fight, of the last round, he pointed to the ground to the guy, saying, "Meet me in the middle of the octagon. We're going to decide this right now." And everyone's like, "Max, you're winning." This is perhaps overconfident because the other guy's losing, and in 10 seconds, he's lost the fight by decision. By going toe to toe with him in the middle of the cage, you're giving him the only opportunity he has to potentially pull a win. Because if he happens to land a big punch, oh my God, thank God, because I wasn't going to win on points. I have to knock you out to win. So the only opportunity I have to win is if I knock you out. And Max called him to the center of the cage, like, let's do this. That's bold. That is crazy bold. Okay. So there's one bold. That's Max. Max fights Ilya, and everybody's telling Ilya, what are you going to do if Max points to, and Max knocked the guy out. So the Max called the guy to the middle of the cage. They swung toe to toe, and Max knocked the guy out, knockout of the year. And everyone's like, holy shit, Max, like, yeah, that's how I do it. I was winning the fight, and I said, no, 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 let's finish this. They told Ilya this. This is Ilya, the confident Ilya. Ilya's from Spain. So he's a European. And Ilya goes, big deal. When I fight Max, I'm going to call him to the front of the cage at the beginning of the fight. And we can decide it right there in the first 10 seconds, not the last 10 seconds. And everyone's like, holy shit, like, are you crazy? Fight comes on the weekend, Agata. Ilya walks to the center of the cage and does this. Come. And Max said no. And they fought their normal fight. Ilya knocked him out in the third round. But the boldness of some of these guys, and I know what you mean. So when Ilya changed his social media to saying world champion before he even fought for the world title, if he lost, everybody be like, look at that. The guy's a joke. And they would laugh at him. But because he won, everybody's like, he becomes like legendary. It becomes like, oh my God, he's so. And then Ilya, when he called Max, like, this is Max Holloway. Max Holloway calls you to the center of the cage and he knocks you out. When he, in the first 10 seconds of defending his title, calls Max to the front, if Max came over and knocked him out, he would look stupid. You call Max, come here, to the middle of the cage, let's rock and roll. If Max goes, all right, you want it? And Max knocked him out, Ilya's going to look like an idiot, right? But because he did that and it didn't happen, and Max actually didn't even come over to engage it, he's like, nah, fuck it, let's just fight normal. He backed down. And Ilya's boldness just makes it like you see that the bravery it takes to call your shot, irregardless of if you lose, you look stupid. That's what makes it so brave and bold. It's like, holy fuck, what if you lose? And he's just like, but I won't. Like, it's so, you know what I mean? There's something I don't know.
I mean,
I
I get
understand
the
what you
appeal
mean.
of that. I get the appeal of that, but I just don't feel the need to do something like this, because you never really know. And I don't want to say that I will win for sure if I don't know that I will win for sure. Like, if I'm going into a battle and I know that I have a very high chance of winning, then yeah, I will say I will win. But if you don't know, then like you're just talking
But
bullshit,
that
honestly.
but that's what it is. It's not real. It's true. But that's what makes it when it's so close and people, what makes it even crazier is if you're an underdog, not only is it so close you might not win, but people actually are picking against you and you're like, I'm going to win. No, 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 I will. Maybe it's different because of powerlifting and its numbers. So you could kind of tell, but
Yeah.
maybe it's different. I don't know. But there is something inspiring about somebody who's like incredibly confident and brave and all the pressure and all the, hey, if you lose, you know how this makes you look? And they're like, not going to happen. There's
Yeah.
something about it. I don't know. You're pretty brave and bold yourself, though. Like you set your goals. You're talking about 3 world titles. You're talking about like you're going to be face off with Amanda Lawrence. You're talking like, and this is well in advance. And Amanda has 647 as her PR total. before you hit 627, and that's still 20 kilos off, but before you hit that, it's still bold to even throw that out there. So you're pretty brave. And like you're not nearly like Ilya pointing to the ground doing that, but still, it,
I guess. Honestly, I started saying this because I saw a comment somewhere that, oh, she destroyed 69s and 76s, she should go 84 next, and I was like, that sounds like a nice idea. But yeah, I honestly didn't know myself if it would go well. So I didn't say I'm going to beat Amanda. I said that I will go against her in 2 years. And now that we're getting closer to it, I'm getting more and more confident that I should be able to beat her or come really close. So, it kind of changes over time as you get closer to certain meets and you can guess better what you will be able to do. So yeah, I guess I just started winning more, so I got more confident, right? Yeah,
you
if
should
that
do an
makes sense.
Ilya Tapuria. His last name's Tapuria. You should do an Ilya Tapuria. Change your social media to 3 division world champion and put 2026 84 kilo world champion.
We'll see in 2026.
You got to change it in 2024. If you if you did, can you imagine? People go to your bio and it says 2026 84 kilo world. You call your shot like 2 years in advance. That'd be amazing. But so far as it stands, what do you think is your finest moment?
Hmm. Probably winning Sheffield
Probably.
or third deadlift from girl power because that was such a bad day and that third pull just saved everything. But that's probably just recency bias, so I will go with Sheffield.
And who do you think so far has been your greatest rival? Or have you had a great rivalry yet, do you think?
Hmm. I think I will go with Jess because of how crazy that battle in 22 was. And
Mm.
that was like the first international powerlifter I was following and was inspired by. So going up against her really felt special to me. And the fact that we totaled exactly the same and she won on bodyweight and had to pull the biggest deadlift of all time, it was just such an unforgettable moment. And I haven't had such a close battle ever since.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think I would choose that because of the significance it had and also how it changed the way people looked at me as a lifter, how much hype was around that battle. Some people said it wouldn't be even be close. Some people said it would be super close up to the last deadlift. And just to be able to go up against her and hit the same total and push her to deadlift the biggest total of white line, yeah, it felt like such a big accomplishment and just was crazy.
She's never been, that's her peak. She's never totaled that again since. It's weird. Like that you pushed
Yeah.
her, it was a special day for sure. It was super special. I remember when I was commentating and they were loading up that deadlift. It was the biggest deadlift in IPF history as a 76 too. I remember looking in the wings, seeing her getting hyped up before she pulled it. And I remember getting chills, being like, this is crazy. This is the craziest battle. You guys pushed each other. It was a special day. You guys, because you were like 19. Were you 19 or 20? Let me check.
Mm,
Let
that
me
was
even
before
fact
my
check.
20th birthday.
Yeah, you were 19.
Yeah.
You were a teenager in an amazing battle. You were a teenager, and she was about to pull the biggest deadlift in IPF history to make this happen. And I remember her in the wings waiting to hear bars loaded. And I remember like how hype and the expression on her face. I remember thinking, this is nuts. And the crowd cheering. You were in the crowd. And after she hit it, her jump in the air was like,
Yeah.
she's like jumped like 10. She had a vertical. She would have slam dunked. And she slammed the
She
ground
like
afterwards.
hit the ground, yeah,
Yeah.
with
Do
her
you
fist.
remember? It was so like
Yeah.
it's funny how you because I can picture it too. in my head. The way she slammed and did it, it was such a moment. Um, but so you pushed her, and it was a special moment. You pushed her, and she reached a new level. She hasn't even reached that level since. And she's still young. It's not like she can't, but it's weird how that happens. We were talking about it earlier. You never know when your moment is. You never know when it is. Let the hammer fly because you don't know. She's never reached that height before, and you've reached total wise that height, but you haven't reached rival. I agree with you, rivalry wise, to be in a moment where you're like, oh, this is crazy. Like people are
Yeah.
like, I can't believe this is happening. Not yet. Maybe against Manda though. That's what's so special because you as a 69, like I love Corolla Gar, but you are another level. Like it's going to be in Gara is a future Hall of Famer, world champion in equipment, out of equipment, multiple weight classes, world games. Like she's amazing. But you're like, you really get an appreciation how good you are when you can make someone like that shoot for silver. Long before the competition starts, they're like, yo, I'm going for silver, aren't I? But um, I think your next big moment. So you're going to do what you're going to do at 69. You're going to lay down the pathway to be the greatest of all time by three different world titles, three different weight classes, two Sheffields, like whatever. But your next big moment might be Amanda, and that's what's so exciting. Like thinking about you and Amanda, that's win or lose. Same for Amanda. Win or lose, Amanda knows we're gonna have a moment. We're gonna push each other like we've never pushed each other, and we're gonna have who knows? Maybe you have magic like 2022 all over again. I don't know.
Hopefully that would be really great because like again, if you're going into a comp and you don't really have opposition, it's a little bit harder to hype yourself up because if you don't have a specific goal that you want to hit, you're not even striving for anything. So, and I feel like that happens often with third deadlifts when people have already won. It's just much harder to pull that third deadlift when you're not going against someone. And having that close battle is just really such an amazing feeling. So yeah, I really hope we can replicate that in 2026.
Yeah, I'm excited. Your next couple of years are going to be interesting. Well,
Yeah,
listen, that's for sure.
can't wait
And
for Sheffield already.
I'm glad you're doing this pathway. Like it is the best possible pathway for you to be the greatest of all time. When you think about there's no other way. How could you not when it's on the table to be the greatest of all time by 23? The best resume we've ever seen by 23. Back-to-back Sheffields might never happen ever again.
So yeah,
Men or women, back to back. Doing winning Sheffield twice might happen because someone could break the world record and then build their total over a couple of years, then come back. That can happen. Back to back means you built that record in a year, enough to beat everybody else. Back to back Sheffields might never happen again, and three world titles in three weight classes may never happen again. And you have
that's
an
why
opportunity. You got an
thanks
opportunity.
thanks for talking me into this.
That's right.
Like
I'm your manager
that's
now.
that's yeah.
Right. you got you got nutritionist, handler, programmer, and I'm a manager as well. You send people my way if they want to talk to you about things. But
Okay.
okay. But yeah, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change your Instagram handle. It's got to be 2026 84 kilo world champion, and then we'll take it from there. But thank you for coming on the podcast. Let's go watch this Taylor Atwood comeback, huh? Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go
sure.
check out what this guy's doing. For God's sake, the king is back. Let's enjoy it. But everybody listening, so thank you for coming on. Good luck, Agatha. I'm going to see you at Sheffield, obviously. And everybody listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.